So we have this, and we can't seem to address it. Now, therefore, how do we help ourselves? Because we seem to have so many issues that yes, that we can't seem to have a grasp on. So how do we help ourselves out of this?
I have to say,
Yeah. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. I think we have a challenge with our telecom companies. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, please.
is it MTN?
All of them, MTN, Etisalat, Glow. We seem to have just an endless stream of drop calls everywhere. Okay. So how do we deal with
But I
this?
have to say also that we shouldn't. I think things are changing. One of the things I think technology has made a difference. The fact that people have, I mean, you can waste enormous amounts of time on Facebook and the internet, but it can also be empowering for us. It means that we have greater access to information. I think, for example, that the Nigerian attitude to rape is changing slowly, and I think technology has played a role that we have all of this information, and that also that we see how other societies are responding to it, and that I think it empowers people and makes it possible for them to speak out. We still have a long way to go. There's a way of thinking. I mean, a lot of our problems, I think, also about how I often say, well, we need to first of all form the idea of what we want to be before we start walking toward it. And so rape, for example, I think one of the major problems is that we victimize women.
Naturally.
We do. Our society is misogynistic, and I've talked about this many times. And I can tell you, for example, that I'm with a man and I walk into a restaurant and they don't greet me; they greet the man.
Whereas they're going to pay,
and they don't know who's paying. And it's just that idea that a man is more important than a woman. And I think our society is just, that idea is so deeply entrenched. So recently, for example, when the young woman was raped at Abia State University, I remember being horrified by people saying, well, what was she doing in the room? And I just thought, it doesn't matter. What we're saying is that it's okay for young men to behave like dogs. Why? It's why. Where is our sense of outrage? It doesn't, even if a woman gets up and walks naked on the streets. Yeah. We cannot say that our men are dogs. We cannot say that's acceptable. And so that we have a society like that, I think it's people of my generation. That's what really scares me. And so it's what we need to start changing by education, by not even just education, just challenging those ideas, sort of sitting people down and saying, but wait, so really what you're saying is that a man is not a full human being. You're saying a man is an animal with he can't
no control.
Yeah. And if that is the case, then that's that's a shame.
That brings us to, maybe, I don't want to call it a national shame, but the situation in the National Assembly where we have lawmakers and lawmakers being men and women, we really do not have the laws that we seem to need. I mean, that we seem to that should propel us to do the right things. So 2015 is down the line. What is your outlook? Do you think we can get out of this morass?
I don't know. I find it interesting that we live in a country where we have serious problems, and instead we're talking about about gay marriage and about women's dressing. And I just think, what is that? I sometimes wonder about, again, I think it goes back to I think my basic thesis about Nigeria is that our problem is incompetence. We don't have the right people where they should be. I think that's really
at all levels.
Yes. And what's sad about it is we have qualified people. Every day I meet Nigerians who inspire me. Nigerians who I know can in fact change Nigeria, who are not interested in stealing money, who think about ideas, who think about the fellow citizens, because often we don't do that. I mean, I often think to myself, if I were in a position of power, I wouldn't be happy flying to Germany every time I get sick. What my concern would be, I want a world-class hospital in my country, even as a selfish measure, because you never know if you're going to die on the way to Germany, So I do wonder about that. I mean, and then of course I would want the fellow citizens to have access to good health care. Because for me, it would be, when they do that, then they're going to like me more, they're going to vote me in. But in this country, we don't have a real democracy. So we don't actually have people thinking about, I need to please the people so they vote for me. And that's one of our problems, I think.
Now, because my director is asking us to leave the studio, I wonder what we're going to be doing next. But let's just say this. This is national TV. What is your reaction to what we see on radio and TV now compared to your time? What's your reaction?
Oh, when I was growing up, the shows I loved, there's a show I'm actually looking for called Ichoku, which I used to watch growing up. Fantastic. I think then scripted shows were wonderful. Ichoku, Village Headmaster, seriously, Sunset at Dawn. Now I don't even know what's happening in. And it's not to say that I mean, and we need good shows that are entertaining and also news. There are some, again, I don't want to be too pessimistic. There's hope for Nigeria, right, in general. But there are many problems. And there's some stations that I don't take seriously because they're just mouthpieces for the government.
Okay, so would you say, lastly, Nigeria will survive?
Yes, absolutely. It will survive. It has to survive. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chimamanda. It's nice having you on this show. I think we can continue this conversation. Don't forget, you can actually follow us on youtube.com/NTA2 Lagos, and then look up for Close Flow, and then maybe you can add your questions or your comments so that Chimamanda can then deal with that later. Maybe she can link it to our own website. Then also on Facebook, you can drop your pictures or your comments on Close Flow. It's been a pleasure having her here with us, in the studio. I hope we can have her again because I know many of you are home now enjoying Labor Day, so you cannot be here to come and have your books autographed. For the younger ones, maybe you should go and find our page and see if you can ask her more questions. See us again on Friday.